Hey, y'all. As a growing family, my husband and I love game night, especially when it's Wayfair edition.
Let's do it. You gotta name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, good afternoon, Northbound. All right. So we're talking about raw, gritty leadership. We're talking about the bad part of it, the tough parts, the hard. At the end of, let's see, last podcast was the miles that no one sees. And this one is the weight you carry. And we talked about that feeling of weight, the weight that you feel. We specifically talked about 6 things that are the hard things no one sees: emotional wear and tear, physical cost, the mental load, the spiritual and identity impacts, relationship burdens, and a compassion fatigue. And I told you I was going to tell you a story. And it is a personal story. It is a very sensitive story. And so let me start by telling you that this story has to do with a close call when it comes to suicide. And so if you are uncomfortable hearing about suicide or listening to this story, I ask that you just go to another episode, because we're going to talk about something that's very serious and very emotional. So the 6th thing we talked about in the last podcast episode was compassion fatigue, and that heaviness, sorry for my words, that heaviness of helping people through crisis. And sometimes it brings us to a point where we've got nothing left. And some people's crisis is very, very deep and very hard. And as leaders, when we care immensely for the people that we lead, their stresses, their challenges, their crises, in some cases, it's that dramatic, that matters to us. And that can take an emotional wear on you, even physical, which is what I talked about in the last episode. Was I walked into my office and I was paralyzed. I couldn't move because of the pain was so extreme. That pain in my chest, in my I guess my entire body. I don't really know how to explain it, but there was this pain with movement. And there was a weight that I felt on me, which is why the doctor said, that was his diagnosis. You're stressed. And he wanted to do some other tests, but I won't go into that. And I actually didn't do those other tests because I just didn't want to go back to the doctor, which is not a good thing. We could talk about that maybe in another episode about taking care of yourself medically and not walking out on those things. But let's get back to what had brought me to that place where I was literally frozen. I was sitting in my office one day about just a few days prior to that incident of when I couldn't move. And I was sitting in my office, and there was a line of people that were in my unit that, you know what, I need to go back a little bit. And I'm sorry, this is a hard one for me to talk about. Let me go back a little bit and just tell you what was going on in that unit. In the organization that I was leading, we were in charge of some very, very important missions. Missions that were demanding crazy amounts of days deployed for the folks that were for the active duty military members. They were deploying a lot. In fact, a guy had deployed for a year and just a month later went right back out the door to deploy for another 6 months. He was gone all the time, and he was a part of a mission that was a very, very worthwhile mission, but also extremely mentally, emotionally, physically challenging and demanding. And the people were a part of something that they needed time to process. And there was one specific individual who had been on that mission. He was having a hard time processing, but he also had some relationship burdens and things in his life going on with his very close relationships in his immediate family. And I'm not going to go into what those were, but they were deep, deep issues and concerns. And he was dealing with that and at the same time dealing with the things that he was experiencing while doing a mission. And so he, alongside of a lot of other people, stood outside my door that day, waiting to come and bring the concern or issue to myself and the team, because we were dealing with a lot of things as people were deploying, coming back, trying to figure out their lives at home, as well as juggling the schedule of going right back out the door. And so there was just a lot going on. And so there were some people that needed to talk to us. And he was one of them. And I remember I needed to get up and go use the restroom real quick and come back. And we would pick right back up where we were. And as I left, I could see that he was distraught. This individual was distraught. I saw that in his eyes. But he was in line like everyone else. I came back to the office. We picked right back up. And about a half hour later, he walked in. Now he's very distraught. And I can tell that he needs to talk to us in private. So we closed the door. And that is when he basically collapsed in tears and crying. And sometimes, if you've been in tough situations like this before, you may relate. There's a time where it is that moment where you need to ask somebody very directly if they are okay, if they're going to harm themselves, if they're thinking those kinds of thoughts. There is a time for that, and that was that time. And I could sense it and see it. And I asked him, "Are you considering killing yourself?" Now, I've asked that question a few times over my career, and there's only been one time, and this is that time, where the answer was yes. The answer was yes, and the answer was how. That's a hard thing to be prepared for, folks. I'm not saying that I was prepared for it. Maybe God gave me the answer for him in that moment. I don't know, because I had never really been trained in it. But I told him, "Well, you're not going to." And he looked at me, and I said, "You're not going to because we're not going to let you leave. You're not going to kill yourself today because we're not going to let you." And we got him the help that he needed. We got him, he got checked into a program to help him so that he couldn't harm himself. The weapon that was removed from his home, so that wasn't an issue. And we came alongside of him and took care of him. But he was not alone in his hurt. There were others too. There were others that were hurting, that were trying to deal with the things that they had seen and experienced, not only in the military, but then when they come home, how does that translate to the relationship issues that they're having in their home? He was not alone. And this was weighing on me. And what else was weighing on me was the fact that he had stood outside my office for 30 minutes. He could have left at any moment. And so I tell you this because leadership is difficult. It's raw and it's really hard. And we need to be able to encourage each other and come alongside each other to help each other lead, especially when you're leading to the degree that you're in the lives of the people that you're with. And that gets messy. It's messy. We are all messy and we need help. It's the weight that we carry. That evening, after I had met with this gentleman, and myself and the leadership team had got the help that he needed, and we felt like he was safe, I left and I went home. It was a very hard drive home. It was a very hard next couple of days as we processed that and many other issues that were going on. And that is what led to that moment where I just froze up. And it's that moment that I will never forget that. I will never forget that extremely difficult leadership scenario. And it's moments like this that are the reasons I have started the business that I've started, as well as the community online, is I want to help you. I want to help you in leadership. I want to share these things with you. I want to hear what challenges you are having, and I want to be there to help you through those challenges. So reach out to me at chris@go-northbound.com. Come join our community. There are other people there who also have lots of successes and failures to share. And it's a team where we are helping each other. We are helping each other with leadership, and we're also looking at some adventures in the future where we're going to get together. So come join us. We'd love to have you. The next episode is going to be the wilderness of leadership, and that's going to tie this together. I'm going to share a story about what I did after the military and what I learned from what I did after the military and why I'm sharing that with you now. And yeah, that's it. We'll talk about that on the next one. Okay, Northbound, go lead boldly, humbly, and confidently. God created you for this. You just listened to another episode from the Northbound Podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you were encouraged and empowered in leadership. Go lead boldly and humbly. And remember our vision, elevate your team through Christ-centered leadership. If you want to be a part of our community, just go to go-northbound.com and follow the link and come join us. Follow along with courses and live streams and chats, and maybe even join us for an adventure. We'd love to have you. All of those links are in the description below. Thank you again for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. See ya.
There's nothing like being in the stands cheering on your favorite team. Game Time is your hack to unlocking amazing tickets in just a few taps. Plus, their Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets at the best price. Fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. Get the best deals on sports tickets. Download the Game Time app and create an account to start searching for tickets to upcoming games and events. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time.